Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to SP Reviews, where I'm going to be checking out a track from an act named Maniak Max titled W.T.C.T featuring Singmuf and G.I. Joey. And if we switch over to here, we have the music video here. Maniak Max, W.T.C.T featuring Singmuf and G.I. Joey from Maniak Max's album titled Klepto. My understanding is that unfortunately Maniak Max actually passed away, which is obviously incredibly sad. So this is his last music video. We are going to be listening through this track from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go.
Yeah. Hey yo, tell him Max. Like the Godfather said, if you ain't catch it the first time, we gon' hit your ass up 2 times. Yeah, what? And it's like that. What? Yo, check it out. I keep the
Okay, before we go any further, I'm loving the flow with the percussion. What else do we have? What other instruments do we have here? What else do we have?
If you ain't catch it
Got some guitars alongside the slick vocals. A little bit of that LP hum to it. I know that's applause. Applause to use as an instrumental there. I dig that. Nice work.
I keeps it real like your stepmother, sleeping with your little brother. Father walks in and sees a head under the covers. Damn! Come on, Max, why you gotta be harsh? Why you gotta be so mean when you spitting these bars? I keep it 100 on the mic and I'ma give it to you raw. Trying to aim for the stars, but I probably won't get far. I put blood, sweat, and tears in this. I'll show you the scars. Bitch, I go so hard because the rest of you soft. Rapping Willie as a...
He's actually got a great voice for it. It's slick and it's cool, and really there's nothing you would need to change it. He had a talent for it, you know?
These bars like soap. My rhymes, they must be addictive. People say that I'm dope. I smoke buds when I write. Type of shit to make you choke. Step 3, roll it up. Time to blaze up a smoke. I'm too broke to be rich, bitch. Shopping at the dollar store. Hanging out in dive bars. Trying to bag bar hoes. I ain't got no fancy clothes. Wearing jeans with knee holes. Keeping it scrub, and I guess I'm white trash, I suppose. Hair one break in the back like that. Hip hop junkie, get my fix without a needle. What you gotta say about it? We'll be right back. Spitting.
Yeah, like this just sounds like a professional release from like a well-to-do independent label.
Rhymes while I'm puffing on the pre-roll. Don't give a fuck about what you gotta say. As long as I'm alive, I'ma live illegal. Me and my crew, we just do it this way. White trash causing trouble. Wait for the sequel. Tired of these people, wish they let go of the ego. 5 grams in total darkness is how I let mine flow. I stash a 10-pack in the book of certitude.
Again, I love the double tracking of the vocals in this part. You know, pouring one out. It's a really the video is well edited and it's soulful, and you can tell there's a lot of grief here, you know.
Back to a time when I fly high altitudes, just doing my thing. Women in line bathrooms, we land. I'm still lifted in the K-hole, gifted. Walk around town with a killer cop attitude, drifting as I move in solitude, as I groove, as I say what I want. Fuck what you think is rude. I got nothing to prove to you. I do what I do. What fuck the boys in blue? To the worm I stay true. Bump premiering guru. Peace to the old school. Boom bap turntable instrumental tracks. Most new shit is whack. These industry cats are all.
Yeah, that's a good point. They're talking about how the new stuff's kind of whack, and they're going for the old school kind of 90s hip hop vibe here. They haven't got a lot of the sort of the synthesizers and the 808s and stuff like that you get here. It's kind of refreshing, really.
I'm the same, drooling from the lean. I get my molly from the lab, and I press my own beans like that's how we do it wherever it is that we go. Hip hop junkie, get my fix without a needle. What you know about me and my EWE crew? Spitting out rhymes while I'm puffing on the pre-roll. Wherever we go, we gon' do it how we do. As long as I'm alive, I'ma live illegal.
I like the call and response between the main vocalist and then the backing ones. I like how people are taking turns here. I like the chemistry between the different musicians involved.
And my crew, we just do it this way. White trash causing trouble, wait for the sequel.
And you don't really wanna mess with this. I'll make your bitch give me neck like the Exorcist. The best of the spit can't damage me. My flow is butter and I'm rolling thunder. That's that raw Van Damme in me. Can't dance with me, and if you wanna throw them hands at me, I'll cut your legs off so you know you can't stand with me. I'll take a chance at me.
I'll cut your legs off so you know you can't stand with me. That's definitely a line. That's definitely a line. The wordplay's there. The old school 90s kind of funky vibes are there. The flow is there from each of these different rappers. Slightly different approaches, but a similar kind of style.
Put your head in a car door and then I slam a Jeep like I ram the beat. I'ma kill your whole family like it's Amityville. Unlimited like limitless, don't need the pill. I hear the beat and so legit, you gotta safe, we gon' open it. My homie Max had a mask way before the COVID hit. I start breaking your face just like I break in your house. I get it wetter than lake, I take your chains like a couch, you know.
This is a lot more intense than the other two bars. Maybe I just missed some important steps. The second guy was like, I don't care what you think, etc. And this guy is like slamming your head in car doors.
I make it rain in a drought. I feel like I'm washing plates the way I'm dishing it out. I'm hitting your town and sitting you down. Taking shots but no liquor was found. And now you into the clouds. Bitch.
And we never gonna stop.
Hip-hop junkie, get my fix without a needle.
Motherfucker cop.
I like the line, get your fix without a needle. It's kind of pretty because it's like saying, I can just enjoy this music and feel okay with myself and not having to escalate it further than that.
Get it, get it.
Spitting out rhymes while I'm puffing on the pre-roll.
Get it, get it, get it. Ever.
As long as I'm alive, I'ma live illegal.
Yeah. Puff it up, y'all.
White trash causing trouble. Wait for the sequel.
Damn. And like to think there probably, well, there obviously won't be one. I like the respect and the maturity shown to have these choir vocals with the really somber percussion and just the imagery, you know, of them pouring one out for Max. I think that's really beautiful. I've seen musicians do horrendous stuff just in the desperation to try and make it in the industry, and they'll even monetize situations where people have died, right? But this is just it's so beautiful.
You know, whenever I wanted to quit music or I wanted to quit speedrunning, Max was usually the first person to step up and say, hey man, don't give up. Like anytime I wanted to quit, dude kept me going. And I'm truly gonna miss him.
I cannot believe you are.
Yeah, this is going to be tough to listen to. I imagine that this is going to be, you know, for the people who know him intimately, like that guy saying there that he helped pull them up. It's difficult to sort of come to terms with that when...
Gone. You meant the world to everybody and everyone that's a part of Earworm. I miss you, brother, and I know everybody else does.
He wasn't just Maniak Max to me. He was my cousin, my best friend, and the realest motherfucker I've ever met in my life.
And it's highly unfortunate that he's gone, but the man did nothing but bring positivity and just happiness wherever he went. He was just literally just a ball of energy that, you know, you couldn't be mad if you were around Max. It was impossible. Dude was amazing.
He brightened your day up, no matter how dark it might have been. I mean, you know, there's quite several occasions where he acted as the Jay to my Silent Bob.
Yeah, for real. Literally showed nothing but love and respect to everyone he ever met. Yeah. Love you, Max. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Love you, brother.
Max was one of the most sincere, amazing individuals I've had the honor of meeting in my life. Any show we've ever played, whether it be the Palladium, Oasis, the Raven, Manchester 65, any show we ever fucking played, he was always the ball of energy at the shows, and it was incredible every time. Because whether it's at a Tech 9 show, we were in the mosh pit, you could always guarantee you're going to see Max in the pit, dude, and anytime you met up with him, you locked eyes, and it was just the biggest fucking hug, man. We're all going to miss you, Max, but I guarantee you, you're never fucking forgotten, man. You're going to live on forever through all of us. We all miss you, and we'll see you on the other side, my dude. Love you, man.
It's a really fitting tribute so far.
The equation feels wrong now. a life minus the one Maniak Max. Every day I wake up feels like it's starting off on the wrong track. But we're all here, trying to make the best of things and honoring your memory. Can't nullify the pain of losing you or quantify how much you meant to me. I'm one of the lucky chosen few who got to be there since day one and had the honor and privilege of guiding you. From the time you were crawling in diapers to the messy cleanups after food, and honing my skill and changing my example for Matt and for you. Even that mean biting phase you had starting at age 2. I watched you many hours, many days of my life, wrestled and beat each other silly bouncing around on trampolines, and we went through a lot of ice. You got older, became your own man, lived life and stayed true. Everything you did, little brother, I was so fucking proud of you. Was blessed to witness the day when you surpassed me, when you put on the best hat you ever wore. That's being Cameron's daddy. Through hell and high water, your life had its ups and downs, but you wore the most smiles of anyone in our family, while the rest of us had the McCarthy scowls. You never gave up on the ones you loved, and we couldn't help but love you, Max. You were always there for everyone and made it a point to say, I love you back. You kept doing what you loved and had a rare talent for it too. You never gave up on your dream, which makes your older bro idolize you. Maximus and Lunatic Kitty, along with all old pets and fam, probably already found you. You were a beacon of light in some of our darkest days. That's why people flocked around you. I like to think I had some influence in some of the best things about you, bro. Hardcore Batman and Celtic fandom. Not just that stuff, but that maniac glue. The glue that bonded and stuck you to so many people's hearts. And you know, we're all still picking up the pieces, all pissed about it. And life's been hard to hit restart. Look, I still cry my eyes dry, missing you every day, but realized I got a lot more to look forward to now, on the other side of life's curtain someday. This is just a sliver of words that begin to describe my spoken truth. But what's real for both sides of that curtain is that I'll always fucking love you.
Ooh. Ooh, that got me a little bit. So this is the conclusion of one of the most raw, you know, I don't even know the words to really describe it. It's kind of the first time I've ever done a review of someone where I've heard the amount of talent and promise that they have as a musician, and then realized that we're not going to have any more of that, but then also listen through how their peers, family and friends felt about them, and realized that it's more than just the music. This person touched their hearts and was so much more than that. I typically review musicians on a daily basis. I've been doing these reviews for a couple of years now. So if Maniak Max was to have continued doing this kind of music, if he had managed to put new music out, and I think that definitely they would have gotten somewhere. The flow was fantastic. The delivery of it, the tone of voice, the punctuation and the punctuality of it, the lines, the substance to it, just the overall vibe of it. I suppose, you know, when he says, I'll probably aim for the stars, but I won't get far. I think that's such a beautiful thing to say, because, and I think a lot of people just, they know where they want to be, but they don't look at themselves and have a sense of humility. And Maniak Max here is basically saying, look, I'm just trying to try my best and see how it goes. You know, I'm just going to do what I can to try and succeed and make my way in the world. And I think just when he talks about shopping at the dollar store and stuff like that, and things like that, it kind of makes me feel as if he understands the listener better than a lot of hip-hop and rap musicians who are constantly talking about making gains and hustling and grinding and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that as a hyperbole, or because I think that's what hip-hop music is. Around 50% of the hip-hop I listen to is about that. It's about, look at me, look how hard I am, look at what I'm doing and accomplishing, look at all this money I'm making, these stacks, look how much I'm flexing, these other rappers aren't like me, etc. And I think Maniak Max's verse in this is my favorite just because of how humble he is. The story that is told is just one where you know, as someone who has been in the position where I've needed to shop at the dollar store, I don't have the best clothes. I can relate to him as a musician and as a human being. And I just think a massive thing that a lot of rap and hip hop musicians, especially today, are missing is that majority of the listeners don't have Bugattis and mansions and shit. They are people that are just, they're struggling to get by, or they're getting by okay. And you're gonna be way more relatable if you are authentic to people. So I mean, like, on top of parts of the story that we've told here, I also like the fact that he says no fucks given, because let's be real here, like, even if you're quote unquote, because they mention white trash in the story, like white trash, right? Who gives a fuck, man? If you make people happy, if what you do makes people happy and it makes the world a better place, then what's the problem with it, right? Who gives a fuck what other people think? So I love how true to himself he is, provably, within his music, and also with what people have been saying about him throughout this video. Thoroughly appreciated, again, the technique he had on the mic. He great vocal technique. He was a very confident performer, and really there was nothing he needed to change or adjust about it. It was nice to finish on the I don't care comment about it at the end, after talking about himself, he's too poor to be rich or something like that. He starts to sound like he's self-conscious, but then he's just like, no, screw it, I'm not. And I believe that. I think he was genuinely okay with who he was, and I think that's a wonderful thing. And he had every reason to be, you know, from what we've heard today. The structure of the track with the 3 verses, I mean, Grim, Singmuf and G.I. did a great job as well, don't get me wrong. I think I just spent most of the focus on Maniak Max with just primarily because that's the one that was most memorable to me. I can't relate to like the car door slamming kind of stuff or anything like that we had in the first one. And the third verse, like, all 3 rappers did well, don't get me wrong. I'm glad that Maniak Max opened because it was a strong start. You know, it's okay to not care about what people think. It's kind of refreshing to be in a position where you're not trying to pretend to be someone else. The instrumentation of this track, you know, you had the hip hop percussion with the boom, boom, boom. We're kind of rolling around an A minor harmony there on the guitar parts or whatever. So that was a kind of rude note to follow with, and the bass was nice and supportive of that as well. And the applause was nice to have as a call and response in the vocal parts in the chorus. I dig how we just had the bass and the applause. That's all the coloration we needed. And we didn't need to oversaturate or overcomplicate it. You know, the musical motif didn't change too much throughout. I had a slight switch up with taking away some of those elements for like the call and response in the chorus, but outside of that, the motif stayed strong. The production, the recording, mixing, and mastering was great. No real complaints about that whatsoever. It was nice and loud. The EQing on the vocals was fantastic. The effects change and processing on the different musicians was great. They had their own texture and tone. And I could tell they were maybe recorded with different mics, but even then, you know, that's testament to the post-production to get them all sounding coherent and like they kind of glue together well in the mix. The panning of the instruments was great as well. I like double tracking of the vocals and I think in Grim Singmuf's part, if I'm not mistaken, as well as G.I. Joe's. There might have been double tracking in Maniak Max's verse, but it was so damn well recorded that it was very difficult to tell. That's when you nail double tracking, when you don't realize that it's double tracking. You know what I mean? You know, limiting compression was great, nice and loud without pumping, and like the rest of it was fantastic as well. I'm not gonna be kind of pretentious or arrogant or kind of brash enough to review the rest of the video where people are talking about their feelings. Just before we finish, I just want to say that it's obvious that Maniak Max has a lot of people who really loved him. And I hope that wherever Maniak Max is, that he knows how much he was loved. Just again, before we go, just hearing how he helped people and was there for them and got them through their hard times, and how he was the light of the room, and how there'd be smiles and hugs and stuff like that, and lots of energy and stuff like that. It seems like whilst he was here on Earth, he did some fantastic things. So well done. Rest in peace. But effectively, this is my review of Maniak Max's W.T.C.T featuring Grim Singmuf. I struggle with Grim Singmuf. That is a difficult name for me, but I will continue to try. Grim Singmuf and G.I. Joey. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go check out their various social medias and YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time. As need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.